All right. Welcome, Star Wars players, to a somewhat roughshod episode of your favorite Star Wars news and variety show, Holotheatre. I am not Dan Tartaglione, as you might be able to see.
Better known as D Tartag 1.
He is better known as that. Dan is feeling under the weather this week. We hope he feels better soon. So Matt, Brenderlin, and myself, the tournament advocate, Imrahill 327, will be your hosts tonight, and we are joined by a special guest, design advocate Chris Kelly. Thank you for joining us, Chris.
Thanks for having me. I heard Dan wasn't going to be on, so I knew it would be a great opportunity to.
There you go.
And Dan, hope you're feeling better.
Can somebody in chat confirm that you can hear us? That would be great, just to make sure things are working, because they weren't before. Carl would like to know if you have your wallet, Matt. Can you confirm?
Shit.
We can't swear on this show, Matt. This is a family show.
Oh, well, too late.
All right.
There you go. I got it.
We can be heard. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you for joining us. We're going to dispense with some of our intro stuff until the end, because our intrepid design advocate has some very special stuff for us, but he has to leave in a little bit to put his kid to bed. So we're going to indulge him by jumping right into the Set 21 information. So Set 21 is scheduled to come out pretty soon, TM, and Chris has been generous enough to provide us with some spoilers and some special information about the set. So, Chris, what you got for us? Do you have I know you mentioned you might want to make a quick announcement first about the competitive balance team.
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know and welcome Greg Shaw is going to join. Obviously, we need a lot of help, and Greg was brave enough to join forces with us. So thank you to Greg for volunteering, stepping up. Sadly, unfortunately, Jared and Lenny are going to be leaving the team. Thank you so much for your service. We really appreciate everything you guys did. But we're excited to have Greg aboard, and hopefully he'll fix some of the problems that we're all facing when we play this game.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jared and Lenny, for your time on the CBT, and welcome to Greg. I know Greg's got a keen eye for the meta, so I'm really looking forward to his involvement on that. So before we get into Set 21, Chris, as the design lead, obviously you are the ultimate power in the galaxy, much like the Death Star. But, you know, there's a lot of different types of Star Wars players. There's people that like different kinds of decks. So you have to kind of cater to everybody, and there's always cards you release that are maybe a little too high in power level, maybe too low in power level. But pretend all that didn't exist. Pretend we are in that utopian vision. What does your perfect metagame look like? Is it a small meta with like a couple decks per side? Is it a balanced meta in terms of like space and ground? What would you say is your perfect meta?
I really like the idea of there be maybe like decks per side that are all very good. So you kind of know what to play and what to play against, but also, you know, that random deck will and everyone's like, oh wow, that was sneaky good, and I didn't really realize that. So I don't necessarily like the idea of like a wide open meta where everything is the same power level, because then you kind of don't know what to expect to play. So it kind of deteriorates the value in a lot of prep. So definitely more than just one deck, and definitely not something that's going to dominate. But you know, 3 to 4 decks that are very viable and fun. Ideal. But fun's the keyword.
And do you like when the sides are like as perfectly balanced as possible, or do you like shifting where like sometimes dark is better, sometimes light is better, or does that just cause you too much grief with people complaining about one side or the other?
Is the dark side stronger?
Yeah, I don't want to say group, but some might use that word. One of my highlights was everyone felt, I think it was light side was so much stronger, and the results came back and the sides were 50-50 on the dot. But obviously I think if everything's 50, that's ideal, because you go into a matchup and you're like, ah, crap, I got to win this game's arc or light or whatever. So Each side having an equal chance to winning, I think, is ideal.
Did you pop a bottle of champagne when you saw that stat with the 50-50?
We were burning ultra rares like crazy at the high tower of the D.
Love it. All right. Well, without further ado, let's jump into some set 21 specifics. Can you give us sort of?
Let's give the people what they want to see.
Yeah. Let's start with some basics. What?
My toy collection.
Sure. Ooh, yes. It's quite a collection. Let's start with some basics. What sort of size are you looking at, and is there any like ground level information you want people to have about set 21?
Yeah, it's gonna be bigger than normal. It's been a little while since we released a full set. We kind of cheated by doing a little bit of a preview. So it's gonna be bigger, but we want it to be out in time so that the world's meta isn't totally brand new. So it's still fresh. We'll have some stuff to explore, but by and large, people have some game figured out. So it'll definitely be larger. I think now D&D's torn between either making it big or very, very, very big.
So it's not large or small; it's large or larger.
Yes, larger, largest.
There's always a bigger set.
Some of the production teams are counting up the things they have to do, and 99 was thrown around, and not as a guess, but like the actual number that they counted was 99 things they have to do. Without saying too much, It's going to be pretty big.
That's ambitious. How do you wrangle a set that's like 99 cards? Because normally we're looking at like 20 cards, maybe 15 on a side to get up to 30. 90 is a lot to ask.
I blame Drew. Drew is one of the most active, passionate, thoughtful guys there is, and also in this. He is always on the boards. He's always working hard. I can't stress but specifically him enough. Even in playtesting, when he's just posting all of his decks for other people to playtest to make sure everything's running smoothly. A lot of people go into making the set, but in this set, Drew's cranked out a lot.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And as one of Drew's teammates, I am biased, but I fully agree with you. Talking with Drew, getting to know him better and learning his thoughts on the game has really been just an absolute treat. Matt, do you have any questions before we get into spoilers, or do we want to jump right into it?
Well, yeah, I guess I'm just curious how much of you're it sounds like you're teasing. Will this be the biggest set ever? The biggest virtual set ever, I should say, because obviously the Decipher released 200, 300 card sets all the time, but 99, that's a very big number.
I don't mean to imply it's 99 cards, just 99 tasks that their team had to do.
99 problems, perhaps?
Yeah, 99 problems, and a Chris Kelly is one. I don't know. So I know back in the day when they redid the blocks and the formats, there are probably some pretty large ones. This is certainly one of the larger ones I've been a part of. There's multiple competing themes. Ultimately, we're likely to pull one back. Size, magnitude, and obviously when you're working on so many, something's going to get neglected. So we would probably rather hold that neglected child back so that it can grow a little bit more.
Sure. Are there any themes that have been held back for multiple sets that might be making an appearance in this set?
Definitely, yeah. Yep.
So we're already getting some ones that have been in the can for a while and just needed a little more time to cook.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
All right.
Well, let's start off with we have some just kind of generic use cards. So I'm going to pop those up on the screen right now. Everybody see those? For those of you playing at home, we have 2 new grabber effects. And that's always a kind of a oddly popular card type. It's not glamorous necessarily, but they are quite necessary. Everybody take those in, the grappling hook and tentacle V. Now, what's your thought process behind making startable grabbers like this and putting another one in the game?
It's interesting because it might actually be stronger if it's not startable, right? If it goes back to being an immediate effect. It might actually be a little bit stronger if it's that way because you can pull it with a shield. These have gone through a few different iterations. Some of them let you grab your own interrupt, and if you didn't have a card stacked there, um, grab something, or you could use the card that was stacked there to shuffle a reserve deck. Basically, you could grab a card, shuffle a reserve deck, and that card to use, and then re-grab another card almost. So it was like almost like a reusable grabber. But ultimately, as of now, we're settled on this one. I like how it not cancels. It causes a commonly grabbed card in the barrier cards be lost. So not grab, but they're lost, which is the effect of the grabber, and then also lets you grab something. So you can grab command with the shield, barrier will be lost, and then you can grab trample with this. That covers a lot of different.
Sure. Now, do you think these are going to
Yeah.
take? Sorry, did you have
Go ahead.
Do you have something, Matt?
Well, I was just, are you excited to be able to start heading for the medical frigate and be able to have all three effects be grabbers? That's
That
exciting to me.
there's him, and you're draining for one on turn one, plus grabbing all their interrupts. Force loss, baby.
There you go.
Great aggro.
Do you think that's a realistic possibility that people will start to run multiple main deck grabbers, or do you think that the ones that retrieve a ship are going to be kind of phased out by these?
That's a great question. I think for the time being, these replace Tech Force, because of how much in the meta the idea is that you put your Protocol Droid on table, light side or dark, cycle, and track. So these kind of slow the tracking down a little bit. So I think these probably will replace them, but obviously as metas go, um, they might see their way out.
As a matter of personal taste, I just want to say that the check is in the mail, and I'd like to thank you for adding some more ubiquitous white border cards to the game.
Oh, I didn't think about that part.
How could you not? I'm sure Ryan.
To be
Sergio thought
honest,
about that.
I usually ask when we are selecting cards to make them cards that could be like wood or Japanese. People obviously get a thrill out of that. I like Japanese stuff too.
I love it.
And it also tends to be less expensive to get.
Awesome.
It is
All
a
right.
preference.
Well, I promised 2 spoilers, and that's 2 already, but you have gifted us quite a few more, so let's move right along to our next set. We have a very popular theme that's getting some new love. Do you want to preamble it all, or do you want us to just pop them up?
Just pop them up there.
All right.
Is it the?
We got some hyperdrive helpers, everyone.
Hyper drive.
So we've got a remote planet, and either way you win. So a startable effect and a high quality interrupt. What are your thoughts here?
Pulls the high quality interrupt.
Sorry, there's what?
The startable effect pulls the high quality interrupt.
Yeah. So this is funny because one of the hardest parts is when I read the forums, and I see, oh, it would be really cool if they made this. It's already in the works. There's a forum post about getting hyperdrive some help. I'm like, oh yeah, we nailed it.
I saw that literally today pop up. That was great.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And I'll spoil this. I hope Jared's not mad if I spoil too much, but these aren't the only hyperdrive cards in this. These were just 2 of the ones I thought might be a little spicy to tease stuff. Main goal of these is sometimes early Blizzard 1 at the junkyard, or an early all the junkyard might spell certain doom for our heroes. So either way you win. Gone through a bunch of different versions. It was an effect at one point. Ultimately, I think we decided it's really cool as an interrupt, but a remote planet is kind of the engine. Get that interrupt into your hand, and also provides an alternate way to stack cards without bringing things up too much, making it too fast.
And how intentional was the choice of putting that on that card in particular?
Great question. For the longest time, it was actually on camp, and Ryan, bless his heart, pointed out that the camp has a canceller.
Oh goodness!
So we changed it, and we couldn't think of a good name. For a while, I think it was called Refuge on the Outskirts. and then we realized that name is stupid. Um, we put it on a remote planet, and just I always screw up. I always put Padme Amidala. That's my fault. It will be Amidala. Art is, um, yeah. Remote planet seemed like it fit well for the theme.
So
Now,
I guess my main question is so what dirt does Scott Lingrell have on you that you're putting out hyperdrive helpers now?
I mean this like complimentary, so I hope I'm not blowing up the spot. But I played him a few weeks ago at a local, and he just like, had the most fun at its deck. It was a really great game. I played against him, so hopefully he can use these cards. But he has a really fun deck about that.
now you said it was a
Makes
credits
for
deck.
more
You
fun
didn't say it
games.
was
I
a
lost the
hyperdrive.
game. He beat me, and I still had a good time.
You said credits. You didn't say hyperdrive. Are you saying it wasn't a hyperdrive deck?
Saying credits.
Ooh, that's a spicy one.
Ooh,
Well,
spicy.
it was a really good deck. If Scott's
Would
listening.
expect nothing else from Advocate.
Now, one more question on this theme. I know a lot of people have argued that perhaps a bigger problem than what you mentioned is the kind of issues with space that hyperdrive has and it not having a great space package. Can we expect anything to solve that or help that out at all?
Um. Oh, maybe there's like you'd get the best pilot in the galaxy. I don't know. But solve, I don't think so. Hyperdrive's okay in space, and to be honest, it shouldn't be great in space. Uh, I don't mind when decks have holes,
Sure.
as in thought process and how to fill that hole in the deck building phase. Also, when decks don't have holes, we get sun metas all over again. So it's not going to be solved, but
And thematically, a deck called The Hyperdrive Generator's Gone being bad in space, it works for me.
Yes, that's
it's
very
a fair
true.
point. A great point.
All right, let's move on to something that our intrepid co-host Bren Derlin is intimately familiar with, and that
Or
is
rather, the other way around.
they're familiar with him. It's true. He is one of the denizens of the Tatooine Cantina, which is getting a little sub-theme love here for the
Precisely,
dark
Cantina.
side.
I love these cards. There's no real restrictions on what decks could play them. It's card advantage. It's battlegrounds. If you're playing against Watcher Step, it's a free Twix. It's just fun stuff that can be expanded upon. So many aliens in Tina that are dying to be virtualized in Here in A New Hope, and Special Edition as well. So design can have a lot of fun with these cards, but ultimately, once they're released, I hope the players do just run cards out of phase and meta-wise, kind of slowing down Obi communing with stopping the shuffle so much. You can still do it in Diplo when you have Obi-Wan with you, but hopefully that takes that down a peg in the meta route.
Sure. And you said this is pretty platform agnostic. Do you have ideas about what decks you want to put it in already?
Yeah, I think it'll work either between well and okay in court. My kind of scum, if you want to, Shadow Collective, even some mains decks like Revenge of the Sith. It could work pretty well in that. You start Maul's Hut, you get Maul for free. It doesn't need any particular kite. You just every deck plays aliens. Open alien canteen, draw a card, get a free battleground like that. It's
Sure. That definitely makes sense.
One of the most interesting things to me about these cards is the kind of broken links, I guess you could say. I mean, obviously we have Tonica Sisters. We don't have a Java's Palace woo her. But I assume we're intending to take this towards virtualizing Tonica Sisters. What any hints on what direction you're hoping to take those that design space that this opens up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually glad you asked it because it made me realize I forgot a point. Thank you to the proofers. Hanukkah Sisters already designed. They were probably going to be released with this, but then one of the proofers pointed out This is set 21, and if we wait, like the sisters will come out in set 2-2.
Gotta have them come out in 2-2.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
so really, and that just goes to show how great all of our volunteers are. That everyone just has these great ideas for those types of things. So, like sisters are designed, we know what they'll do. But there's other aliens that we have already in the set 22 design forums. There's probably 3 or 4 of them that all provide some synergy being at the cantina and are otherwise useful, and otherwise aliens you probably wouldn't play. So it's pretty cool. That Wooher is going to be almost like an instrumental part of the cantina package and getting the other Wretched Hive locations.
Yeah, I love that attention to detail, like you pointed out, that they're just always on that, whether it's the underlying
Yeah, they're
cards
great. They're great.
or things like that. That they're just like, oh, what about this idea that just like makes perfect sense after you say it, but nobody had thought of before then. So that's fantastic.
That's great.
So before we get to our last set of spoilers here, I have some stats about these decks, courtesy of our stat wizard, the Echo-based Trooper. So Revenge of the Sith, it's a really cool epic event, and it's very popular. A lot of people like playing with the dark side mains for good reason. They're very interesting and cool characters. But obviously not all 3 of the apprentices are created equally necessarily. So EBT gave me about 900 games have been played with the Revenge of the Sith. The top performer is Maul. He's the highest win rate of the Revenge of the Sith apprentices at like around 60%, winning 60% of the games that have been played with those decks. But he only represents 31% of the Revenge of the Sith decks played, so that's like a little under a third. So not popular, but very effective. And then we have Vader, who is the most popular in 43% of the Revenge of the Sith games. He was the apprentice, but has kind of a disproportionately bad win rate, down at 38% compared to the 60% of the Maul. And then Dooku's in the middle, with both popularity and win rate wise, kind of rounding out the curve.
What are the stats if you take Tom out of that data set?
That is a fair question, and I don't have an answer to that. Maybe EBT can get that on the forums for us. So with that said, these were given to me by Chris Kelly as his favorite of the spoilers. So we have a little bit of love for the Dark Lord of Sith himself.
And isn't that what he wanted the whole time? He just wanted a little bit of love.
It's fair. It's fair.
It's compassion, Jedi are allowed to have compassion.
Some would say they're encouraged to love.
Bill, I'm also very surprised to learn that Vader is the most played. I was not expecting that because I was not surprised that it was the least the most underperforming of the apprentices. No.
To me, it makes sense. I think Vader is the most popular. That's what a lot of people grew up with. That's
yes.
What stories are about. It's no secret that my favorite form of Star Wars is Star Wars. I love the Revenge of the Sith motif. Pick an apprentice to do your bidding and kill Jedi. I love the Skywalker's motif. You pick your hero for whatever era, and you go out and do Skywalker things. I love the communing idea. It's one mode of a deck that you can different versions of. I love that design style. But Vader needed some love, for sure. He's fun, but he just needed something to put him over the edge. I'll say this: I don't think that this is the best card for that Revenge of the Sith epic event coming out in this set.
Oh boy!
This is just a cool little system, a little cool little tease. And just from our philosophy, this system is only playable in Revenge of the Sith, but early versions of it weren't. It was wide open. You just had to deploy the effect and get Chasm Walkway, so you could use it in Hunt Down V. You could use it in SSA, but we decided let's just play it safe. The extra force loss be annoying with all the ping down V, so it's only playable in Sith for that reason. And the title's so cool. The title's so perfect. Just love it.
Yes, I do too. I think it's really neat.
You made me look up. You made me look up what malediction means, but I'm a fan.
And so we learned pretty quickly the way we had it designed, thanks to our proofing lead Joker King, it wouldn't fit. Originally, it was Vader's cape, and that's stupid to have like Vader's cape be the engine.
Sure, yeah. A deploy on table effect is not great for Vader's cape.
So we changed it from Vader's cape. I think Join Me, which is a cool picture of the Chasm Walkway, and we needed a name for it. So Vader's Malediction made it not fit on the Chasm Walkway template. We had to like struggle and figure out what text to move where to get everything fit, and ultimately this does fit. So we went through like Vader's plea, Vader's bargain, Vader's offer, whatever. But wanted to come back to Malediction.
Joker King is echoing your sentiments in chat. He says he can't tell how much and how hard you fought for the word malediction. So I'm happy you did, because that's really cool.
There's Slack chats where I would say this and they're like, no, that's stupid. Malediction it is.
You're raising the overall vocabulary of the Star Wars player base. I think that's admirable.
That's right.
Joker King had a good word too. I forgot what it was, but that was in the running for it if we get maledictions to.
So what do you think? What is your preferred Vader to play alongside this?
Enforcer's just so good, and it annoys me. Every Vader's great. Every Vader has awesome text. Enforcer's just so good, especially with that Death Star 2 lightsaber. You're ensuring he stays in battle. He'll hit someone and throw it. So he's probably the best, but especially with the game text not getting canceled, Choke Vader. That is Star Wars, guys! Like Choke Vader on Cloud City with his saber. Messing some
that does sound neat.
So good.
Okay, I like it. Let's put Choke Vader in there and see what happens. All right. Do you have?
I also think that just Vader.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that also Vader, I think, is a great candidate because he works best when alone, and that is what this effect is also incentivizing you to do. So there's a lot of synergy with, and he also pulls an interrupt that helps when he's alone as well. So there's a lot of synergy there with that card as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even deploy him if 2 or more of your opponent's unique characters are on the table. So,
Chris, I'm not sure if you know, but they actually virtualized that again recently.
No,
not they. Yeah, I'm not talking about the legacy card. They did it in set 19. Yeah, it was like actually not that long ago.
Amazing.
Go check that out. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Do you have any other thoughts about set 21 that you would like to share with us? Otherwise, we got a lore challenge for you before you get out of here, but we'll get to that in a minute.
I just want to say, like, and I was talking to some of the other designers. No reason to market this to ourselves, but now that we're taking it back, now that we're in like the final phase of production, we're looking at the set. But like, it gives me vibes of set 8, where like there was a little something for everyone. Hopefully, some of the spoilers were a hint of that. Different themes we're doing. We're trying to touch a lot of different things. And I really think there's something for everyone in the set, and I think there's a little more than just something. And like taking a step back and looking at the master list as it is now, it's really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so
Very excited.
I said we were going to do 2 giveaways tonight. So here's our 2 giveaways. We have, first of all, a front side of He is the Chosen One objective that Matt had asked to give away, but Chris Kelly insisted that he had a vested interest in it. So we're going to let Chris Kelly decide how to give that away, however he chooses. And then our other giveaway is going to be a Jango Fett foil AI slip, and that will be for our chat lore challenge. But before we get to our chat lore challenge, we have a lore challenge for you, Chris Kelly.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now, and Matt's going to read it to you, and we'll see what your chops are like. All right.
It's a very, very simple lore challenge here. There's a bit of a delay. I'm watching the stream. Yeah, it's an elegant weapon for a more civilized age. a classic quote from Star Wars that everyone knows, but what card is it on?
And that's the entirety of it?
It's the
That's the
entirety of the lore.
entirety of the lore.
Put 45 seconds on the clock here for you.
3 cards come to mind: Jedi lightsaber proficiency, and only Jedi carry that weapon. Elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Yes.
Entirety of the lore. I feel like it can't be any of those.
Garrett in the chat has suggested Naboo blaster rifle, which seems unlikely.
Okay, good guess. Good guess. Or no.
Jar Jar's electropole has been called.
Amidala's blaster, rock. Yeah, there's a lot. But people seem to think it's a weapon, which makes sense.
Rock is an elegant weapon for sure.
Yeah, but maybe for a less civilized age, I would say. But how much time do we have left, Chris?
That was our timer right there. Your 45 seconds are up.
I'm gonna guess lightsaber proficiency.
Oh no! It is only Jedi carry that weapon.
I'm impressed that you did have it in those 3, though. That was.
I feel like Jedi lightsaber has something about fuel cells written in it. Okay, all right. So did anyone in the chat get it right?
Yes. Joker King did say, of those choices, I'm pretty sure it's only Jedi carry that weapon. So there you go. Our proofers at work.
Him, but he hates the Luke effect, so don't give it to him.
Okay, not giving it to
I will
Joker
say
King.
I think the Jedi lightsaber has the not as random or clumsy as a blaster in its lore, so it has the other half of that quote.
So I think whoever Matt thinks should get it should make sure it's loved.
All right, we'll give that at the end. So Matt, you think about your criteria on that one.
Unlimited power. Okay, great.
So with that, we're going to let you go, Chris, so you can put your child to bed. Thank you so much for joining us and for all the insight you provided us and all these great spoilers. We're really looking forward to Set 21.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the accommodations. Let me go early. And thanks you both for doing this. Just seeing all the work that goes on behind the scenes, how much you guys put into this. You know, I was chatting with you guys all day today and planning the show. So we really appreciate you guys stepping up and putting all the work into it. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Dude.
All right, so with that, we're going to jump right into our viewer lore challenge. So if you're in the chat right now, no cheating with the Googles, please. We're going to put your lore challenge on the screen, and likewise give you 45 seconds to puzzle it out. You ready, Matt?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, it is up on the screen, and 45 seconds are on the clock. Most spacefaring.
Well, everyone can read it, but most spacefaring adventurers meet their fate with a calm, quiet dignity.
And the first person to put it in chat will win. It's not everybody.
Okay, we
gets
got Pork
Lost
Stew,
Relay.
Jack, Lost in Spades, Jack.
Feels
Porkins,
like a Jack card. That's fair. He did meet his fate with a calm, quiet dignity. I've got a problem here.
Sanctuary.
That's a Jack card. Sure. All right, we'll give people just another couple more seconds. Any other guesses out there?
I got a hint. Think about the slip we're giving away. It's not the underlying card, but just I'm just saying, think about it. Tight Squeeze. Nope. Not Lost in Space. Not Asteroid Sanctuary.
All right. You have 5 more seconds. 5, 4.
Well, I mean,
3.
We go too long.
2,
someone's gonna just look it up,
1.
right?
All right. I don't think anybody got it. The answer is Mandalorian Mishap. So that's your trivia for the day. Boba Fett met his fate with a calm, quiet dignity.
His fate, which was to survive because of his Mandalorian armor and then become a petty lord on Tatooine. That fate.
Yeah, that's the fate.
That's the fate that he met. Okay.
He
wasn't in space, but he was a spacefaring adventurer. Yes,
it's true. All right. So, like I said at the top of the show, we had planned to have Chris on for kind of the end of the show, including some swing and a miss. It's a hit topics, but we're just gonna run through some of our topics that we had planned to discuss before Chris had to come on, We're gonna jump into that now.
But now we're going to discuss app. Yeah. Now
So-
this is the stuff that everyone's waiting for. No one cared
Absolutely.
about those spoilers. Everyone
Sure.
wants to hear what we think about
So-
Alderaan regionals.
So what you got for us in the world of news in Star Wars, Matt?
Let's see. Well, I just wanted to. So there's a new alternate format. I don't know if you heard. I'm a big alternate formats guy. I've even made one myself, kind of, sort of. I need to update it. It's kind of overdue. But about a week ago, our graphics lead Christian posted some preliminary rules for a single-player version of Star Wars. Y'all heard about this? It's called Warlords and Insurgents. Some on the forums have already taken to calling it the Buy. As an
Ooh, I
idea
like
that
that.
when you don't have anyone to play against, you can just play against the Buy, and actually play against the Buy.
That's
and,
rad.
Maybe lose to the Buy. Actually, could happen now.
I am very
So,
good at losing
it's a
to
little
the Buy,
different.
by the way.
Yeah. So it's a little different, but your opponent's deck, your opponent, it's not real. It's a single player. So, but the deck is made up of a preset list of 30 fate cards that are like. They're new card types. They're complications instead of interrupts, and they're conditions instead of effects. It's got a whole set of rules that go with it, but the core of it are these warlords, is what they're called for Darkside. And they each come with their own set of locations and minions and support cards and like set of rules of how they deploy and drain and when they battle and what they do. And it's and each time you defeat a warlord in battle, you gain the points that are in its destiny number. And once you get to 10, you win. And if you, if you deck yourself, you lose, just like in any game of Star Wars. So I've yet to play it myself. I've printed it up, and I'm starting to put it together. But I saw that some Seattle players played it and had a great time. And it's basically an open playtest right now. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, check it out on the forums. It's only Darkside is available so far. But like I said, it's an open playtest. So you don't even need a friend to play with. You can, which is great news for all the introverts out there.
Yeah, I highly recommend people take a look at it. The images and cards are very cool, and the concept is fantastic. So thank you to Christian Knudsen for sharing that resource with the community, and I look forward to playing Matt's version that he has printed out at our next event.
When you get the buy.
That's right, when I get the buy, which is inevitable. That's one thing that coming back to playing in real life has been challenging for me. Is like, all right, I want to play 4 games of Star Wars today. Oh, I got the buy. All right, I'm playing 3 games of Star Wars today. But now I get 1. There you go. So another.
We're glad that you're playing, even if there's some downsides. We're all glad that you're playing Star Wars again.
Thank you.
Personally,
Thank you.
very happy about that.
I'm happy too. So another piece of news that broke this week was that there's another Star Wars game coming to market from Fantasy Flight Games. We're not going to touch on it a whole bunch, but we're a Star Wars card game. They're a Star Wars card game and have been other Star Wars card games. So Matt, give me some quick thoughts about Star Wars Unlimited, what you've seen so far.
Well, I'm sure everyone's seen it at this point. It's been the chatter on everything, the forums, on Slack, and Discord, and probably 3 or 4 different Slack channels, it seems like. And we finally got a preview, I think, today or yesterday, of what the cards actually look like and what they seem like they'll play like. And, you can find it yourself. I don't think we're going to put it up, but it's, obviously we're a Star Wars CCG podcast. We're going to be a little biased. But I personally am not very impressed with it. The mechanics seem fine. I enjoy FFG's games generally. That's not the game design hasn't always been my problem with them. They do, though, tend to lean on tokens a lot.
Yes.
And in the cards that were spoiled, there were only I want to say 8 to 10 cards that they revealed, and there were 2 different types of tokens that were mentioned on the cards, some shield tokens and experience tokens. So,
yep.
I know Star Wars.
That's always been a strong point of Star Wars CCG in my mind, that you can bring your OTSD with 2 decks and your shields, and that's all you need. You don't need paper. You don't need extra tokens. You don't need any of that stuff.
In fact, you're not allowed to have them.
That's true, unless it's the hyperspace navigation chart. Well,
actually, I believe recently we did, within the last year, we legalized having tokens so that people can actually use those poker chips that we give out as prize support.
We can, yeah.
I've started using that
for certain game aid
cover up.
things, but we don't. There's no intent going forward to make any like cards that require tokens or anything. So those are just,
of course, yeah.
If you
yeah.
choose to
I use it
them,
to cover up
cool,
the. I use it to cover up icons on Naboo, or if I'm playing Invasion, or Cantina if I'm playing Watch Your Step, and but if my opponent's playing Jury Juice, I guess I'm gonna have to put that token back in the box.
There you go. I mean, from my perspective, I'm looking forward to it to some extent because it's a Star Wars card game, and more Star Wars content of any type is interesting to me. But I don't expect that I'll play it on any serious level. I've had some experiences with Fantasy Flight games in the past that haven't been the most positive necessarily, including some of their Star Wars games. I played both the Living Card game and Star Wars Destiny for a while. And they both were, as games, very solid. The game studio at Fantasy Flight is great. It's just kind of the externalities of some of their things that are a little jarring if you haven't experienced them before, whether that's release schedule, which I know they said they'd work on, organized play, which they said they'd work on. So they're aware that they have a reputation for these things being a problem. At this point, it's one of those fool me once, fool me twice situations for me.
It really reminds me of that South Park episode where the BP executives go on TV after a big oil spill, and they're just like, "We're so sorry. Oh no, we know that we messed up, but we're really sorry, and we'll be different this time probably."
Yeah,
I'm with you. I've had good experiences playing Fantasy Flight games, and I've had bad experiences with the way that Fantasy Flight runs its games. So if they actually are able to improve their organized play, it could be good. I will say a lot of the conversation I've seen and on all of our various channels has been about the art style that's a little different than certainly our game, or even the Wizards of the Coast game that came right after ours. But also any of FFG's games, because they've always used illustration for their card games, and I think the idea is that you can use characters from animation or comic books and live action, all kind of in a unified style. And I'm all for having working artists be employed. That's good. But all of the other games had something that's a little closer to a photorealistic style, and all of these look kind of like a comic book, but not like a particularly great comic book. I don't know. It's Kendall said made a reference of how they look like an IDW licensed comic book, which I don't know enough about comic books to really get that reference. But my sense is it's kind of a second rate look.
I like IDW
Christian and his crew. Christian and his crew certainly have better looking cards than what we saw from FFG this week. Yeah. I agree.
I do find Joker King's observation that FFG is summoning Cthulhu to be kind of ironic, because they do have a Call of Cthulhu card game that they produce. So
that I believe looks better than what we saw.
Yes, the art in that game is more artistic and less kind of comic book, like you said. So we'll see how that game does.
What do we think the over-under is on how long it lasts?
Ooh, good question. I know they've said they wanted it to be kind of a legacy game, like a longevity of Magic type situation, but I just don't see that in today's market, regardless of having the license or not.
Yeah, I mean, they said the same thing about Game of Thrones. They had all this whole rotation planned out that they, canceled the game before they actually got to it. The second edition, which both Chris and I played. But
yep.
Yeah, we've been playing this game for 20 years without a publisher, and I have a feeling we're gonna still be playing this game in 20 years, and this game is not gonna have anyone playing it. So,
here. All right,
another one bites the dust.
Potentially. Well, let's not call it dead before it gets out the door, but we'll keep an eye on it. So a few organized play things here real quick. For those of you who didn't see, we did some reorganization of the Western regions. So Alderaan, which used to be California and Hawaii, has now broken into a couple different regions. The Northern California and Hawaii are still their own area. But now Southern California, along with Las Vegas and Phoenix, which we borrowed from a few other regions, is now Scarif, the planet from Rogue One, with the shield gate and all that. So
Yeah, we switched sides.
it's true. We did kind of switch sides from being the peaceful planet to the planet where the Imperials hold all their data.
And all of their military secrets. Yeah.
So, but we're really looking forward to that change being kind of realized and kind of carving out our own identity here in Scarif. So,
It's still taking some getting used to for me, but I'm very excited about it and kind of what it means.
true, yeah, Alderaan's been kind of all the legacy regions from Decipher kind of have their own special place in our hearts from where we grew up. And so that's going to be a big change. But I think it'll be good to have us create our own identity and be able to have some tournaments with people from areas that were underserved before. So
Totally.
moving on to some specific events. Recently, the regional season started, especially in Europe. The Tula region had a regional, and that is the Denmark area, I believe. And former world champion Angelo Consoli won that event. There were 9 players. None of them went undefeated. The top 4 all had the same victory points at the end of the day, so it was decided on strength of schedule. But Angelo had the hardest strength of schedule, so he came out on top.
How many world champions were at that tournament? Do we
I
know?
believe just the one. I don't believe
Just the one.
Emil was at that one. But he played Diplomatic Mission to Alderaan and the Revenge of the Sith Maul deck. So I thought that was kind of appropriate that came up as we spoil some Revenge of the Sith Vader cards.
I'm also very surprised to hear that he won with Diplo, but pleasantly surprised. Diplo, I think, is a deck that's been pretty unfairly written off at least in the American meta. So I'm glad to see that it's seeing some success on the other side of the pond.
Dan is telling me that Emil was there, so I apologize if Emil did make it to that event. But he did not come out victorious there. So we're going to move on to some upcoming events. Check out the calendar real quick and see where people are having events around the globe. The first one, June 3rd, is going to be another European regional, although I guess technically not European regional. It is the Naboo regional near Liverpool in the United Kingdoms, and it has been dubbed Foil Fest. I don't know what that means, but I imagine it means if you go, you're going to get hooked up with some cool stuff. It's going to be at a bowling alley, which sounds rad. Like that's such a cool venue.
Gosh.
And they have a Friday night.
I wish I could.
I wish I could too. There's a Friday night bowling tournament, and then they play the next day the cards at the bowling alley, and then I assume they go drink, which is what the hosts Team Wales do best.
That's what I hear. Yeah, I so hope that I can swing a trip to Worlds next year when it's in Germany, because I've heard so much about the European community and how much they love drinking. Well, particularly the Team Wales. It sounds like a blast. I would love to take part of it. And playing in a bowling alley is just
there's some
like if
photos.
the dude played Star Wars cards. That's like my dream.
You gotta come in a bathrobe with a White Russian. I like it. There are some photos on the forums for those of you who want to check out that bowling alley setup. It looks really neat. Also, June 3rd, we're going to have Oregon States in Portland, Oregon. So if you're in the Portland Northwest region of the U.S., go check that out. And then the next weekend is going to be action-packed. We have Alderaan Regionals, which, as we just mentioned, is now Northern California's regionals. But they are going to be invaded by some natives of Scarif.
Possibly also some Ewoks too, I think.
Yes, several of us are taking the trip up, and Joe Olson at least, and possibly some other Endorians are going to be taking the trip down. So that regional promises to be a great time. Very excited for that one. I love road trips and with a bunch of nerds. It's the perfect time. We've already got a great Airbnb picked out. It's in San Francisco. So if you want to come to that, we would highly recommend it. And if you need crash space, hit me up. We might be able to find some spots in the Airbnb. Also, June 10th, we have Connecticut States in Newington, Connecticut. So if you're in the Eastern Seaboard, that might be an event you can check out. And then for the middle of the country, it was just announced today by Kendall that there's going to be a Columbus, Ohio local that day. And Kendall is buying the winner dinner, a $20 dinner voucher to wherever they go for dinner after the tournament. Kendall has suggested Mongolian barbecue, which is one of my favorites. So if you are in the Midwest, I would try and make it up to Columbus that day. And then the last thing I want to plug tournament-wise is June 17th is the next one of our thematic Swiss Series deck box tournaments on GEMP. It's got a Eurocentric time frame. It's going to start at noon GMT, which is 8 a.m. Eastern, which means I will be getting up at 5 a.m. to run that tournament. And the winner and possibly a couple others will get the Grievous deck box from Series 2. And I've also been authorized to give away a light side Cloud City Uncommon uncut sheet for that event by Jared to a random participant if we get at least 16 people in that event. So if you need more PC deck boxes, especially if you're in the European time zones where a noon start would work out well for you, I highly recommend it. So those are all our events.
Bobby says that Oregon State's venue will also have a bar.
Oh wow! Okay, so we're gonna there's
some
a lot
good information to know.
That is good. There's gonna be a lot of drinking. I know Portland has some great breweries, so I'm sure that's gonna be a hoot as well. So let's do a few. It's a hit or swing and a misses, and then we'll get out of your hair and you can have a good night.
Do we need to give away the foil slips?
Yeah. Well. The Django didn't have a winner, but if you have an idea of who you want to give the Hitco slip to per Chris Kelly, if you already know that, you want to give it away now, go for it.
Oh, no, I'm going to look through the chat.
Okay.
But
cool.
Sorry, that's it.
That's fine. All right, so our first It's a Hit or Swing and a Miss is for the Naboo Regional. Someone who has not won a world championship will win Naboo Regionals. It's a hit or swing and a miss. That would preclude Angelo, Emil, or Bastion if he comes out from winning. Is it going to be one of those three, or potentially, I guess, a U.S. world champion that flew over for it? Or is it going to be someone else?
Is that likely to happen? Is there? Do you know of any U.S. players that are going to?
Not off the top of my
UK
head. I just
regional?
didn't want to exclude
Okay.
them.
I mean, Jeeps is in Europe. Maybe he could make it up to England.
Not a world
So wait,
champion,
it's-
however.
Someone who, yes, but if he wins, then that's all. So if someone who is not will win, so swing would be that someone.
Who is will win. So the
I'm
swing and
gonna
a miss is saying that one of the three world champions that I
Got it.
mentioned is going to win the tournament.
All right, I'm going to say it's a hit then. I like taking the underdog, and there's a lot of really stacked players there. But there's a lot of really stacked players that haven't won a world championship there as well.
That is true.
And
Europe has some strong contenders. I, however, am going to say it's a hit. No, I'm going to say swing and a miss. Sorry. I'm going to say that one of the world champions is going to win it. So Angelo
Okay.
or Emil, I'm betting on you. Maybe Emil's feeling a little bit disrespected and underrated by not winning the past regional. Maybe he'll get in the lab and brew something really sweet for Naboo. Dan is listing Silver Glen, Timo, Kuhn, and Kieran as some of the potential non-world champion winners. So those are some people that are on your side of this, Matt. So we'll see how that plays out. The next one, swing and a miss or it's a hit, someone from Alderaan will win Alderaan Regionals.
so, which is to say, someone from Northern California or Hawaii.
Correct.
I'm still relearning what all of this means. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say swing and a miss on that one because it doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to make the trip up with you guys, which I'm really sad about. But I'm pulling for all of you guys. Someone I would go so far that someone in that road trip, someone staying in that Airbnb, is gonna win Alderaan Regionals.
I like it, and I agree. It's going to be a swing and a miss for me as well. I think there's a lot of great competition coming from all over for this tournament. Yes, Joe Olsen is Endor, so he would count as not from Alderaan winning the event, as would any of us Scarifians who make the trip. Yes, Connor Britton is part of Scarif now. And Dan apparently has faith in me personally. I find that unlikely, but I would love to take that event down. We got one last swing and a miss, or it's a hit here. Set 21 will be released by July 10th. That is a month before Worlds. How are you feeling about that one, Matt?
Well, it's interesting that Chris isn't the other Chris isn't here to answer this, because he did kind of say that the goal was to release it before Worlds, but Worlds is in about a month after this, right?
Exactly a month after this, yes.
Okay. I will say it's a hit. I think a month is enough time, but not a lot of time before an event. It's not quite, but that's about as much time as we had before Nationals, I think, when the little mini set.
But that was a preview set of this set.
The preview of
some of those 99
dropped.
cards that Chris talked about.
If this set is as big as that's what. Yeah. Well, just to be clear, he's not promising 99 cards, but yeah, I'm gonna say that yeah, it's gonna be out by then. I'm looking forward to it.
I am going to agree with you. I think that Chris and his team, I don't have any necessarily special knowledge, but Chris and his team have been working hard on it for a while. I know they're, like you mentioned, they're trying to trim around the edges to maybe make sure that all the cards that come out are ready to come out and are fully cooked. But I think there's a good chance that July 10th would be the over on that, or I guess the under before is under. So we'll say it's a hit. So Chris Kelly, I hope you don't let me down on that front. I think that's all we've got for you tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this special guest host edition of Holotheatre. And thank you to my co-host.
I had fun.
I had fun as well.
How did you enjoy this?
I loved it. It was great. I loved chatting with you, buddy. And the insights from our design advocate, Chris Kelly, were incredible. And he really showered us in spoilers. I was not expecting that many. So
it's a lot.
All right.
But if the set's as big as it says, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give the Hitco foil slip. It's just the zero side, right?
It is just the
I'm gonna
front side, yes.
I'm gonna give it to Carl for making me get out my wallet just now. Gonna be watching my wallet real closely at every Star Wars tournament from now on. So
there you go. All right, folks. Hope you all had a good night, and may the Force be with you.
And also with you.